Good morning. 30 seconds. Good afternoon. Excuse me while I clear my throat again. This is last Sunday in October. Would you believe already? It's October 25th. The theme for today's lesson was taken from the inspiration of the teachers who wanted to use this opportunity, since we're in the coming up of the holiday Halloween, to talk about masks. And I had been reading about the Imposter Syndrome in a lot of my LinkedIn subscriptions and some other things. And they said, we're going to start there. And so we will. So what I'd like to do is have you all just settle in and get comfortable now. Take 3 deep breaths, again, just to center yourself. Be calm and quiet. Bring in the golden light of the divine. Exhale all shadows, sickness, weakness. One more time. And let's just be present. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. This is the Sacred Journey of Life, Spiritual Center, and Healing Order. My name is Michelle Sailing. I'm the spiritual director. And where we're taking our lessons from tonight, the text comes from a few different places that teachers led me to. One, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. The other, the book Beauty by John O'Donohue. And the other, again, the Colburn Bible. There's a couple sites. So I hope you enjoy. And I want to begin this conversation with, these are try-on opportunities. Do you know what I'm saying? What teacher's doing is, it's committed to provoke you, to invoke you to take some thinking action, and then evoke some possibility of action for you, internally, externally. That's the intention. Awaken, my friends. Awaken, my friends, to the possibility of what your life could be. So, given that, we're going to begin the lesson. We have a song here today, too, by Ronnie, and we're going to include that, too. So, the intention of today's message. The teachers want to reach into who you are, a call to your deepest level of creativity, trusting yourself to discover and integrate your strangeness. If we go down into ourselves, we find that we possess exactly what we desire. Simone Weil. So the teachers assert here today the proposition that we humans deny our power consistently, frequently. We deny our power. We align with standards that are outside of ourselves. And we construct our lives far from the hopes and dreams we had when they first occurred to us decades ago, when we were younger and not challenged. The imposter syndrome is commonly understood as a false and sometimes crippling belief that one's successes are the result of luck and not your talent, not your skill, not your application. To put it simply, imposter syndrome is the experience of feeling like a phony. You feel as though at any moment you're going to be found out as a fraud, like you don't belong where you are, and you only got there through dumb luck. That's a psychological conversation. And now here the teachers ask I insert the spiritual conversation. The loss is in our loss of our sense of our divine authority in our lives. There can be no right or wrong. Here, in this life, committed to fulfillment, spiritual growth, we're learning. We're just learning. We are proving who we are to ourselves in the direction that we go, into the fulfillment that we experience. Regardless of outer circumstances and even inner turbulence, we always have the freedom to choose differently. It's a difficult freedom. We will always dwell on the frontier of our limitations and weaknesses because each of us is deeply flawed somewhere. When we come to remember that we were not sent here for worldly achievement alone, we find that we are being gently rescued from the illusion of progress. The shape of each soul is different. We have an individually, carefully fashioned, unique world. The shape of our flaw that we carry is also different. It's also unique. The flaw is the special shape of personal limitations angled at a unique awkwardness we each have as we meet up with the world. It's challenging, it's difficult, and it's different than any others. We do it alone, except with the help, of course, of our spiritual guides, teachers, and angels. The flaw seems to be the point of a fixed or constant vulnerability, the place where the hope of any order in our life is fractured. When we stay here, inside here, into the limited thinking we have as a human being, inside only the mental approach to it, the conscious approach to it, that psychological approach to it, it seems hopeless. It seems hopeless. And psychology tends to over-identify the flaw with deficiency. Emotionally, as we sense it, we feel it coming on, we think it may be uncovered, we deeper conceal it because we consider ourselves vulnerable. We're vulnerable, we're flawed, we're frauds. Strangeness is a gift. Strangeness makes us unique. Strangeness is the ideal. A call to your deepest creativity. When we become vulnerable, any ideal or perfect image we may have of ourselves falls away. Many people are addicted to perfection, and in their pursuit of the ideal, they have no patience with vulnerability. They close off anything that might leave them open to the risk of hurt. An ideal is certainly a beautiful thing, and part of the crisis in Western culture is due to the erosion of ideals. With the revelation of corruption in so many political and religious domains, our perception of ideals has become tinged with cynicism. Yet no society can endure without this sense of honor, dignity, and transcendence enshrined in its set of ideals. Also, in one's individual life, the sense of excellence in the ideal encourages you to realize what is best in you, to reach beyond your limitations to a level where something new and surprising emerges. Every poet would love to write the ideal poem. Though they never achieve this, sometimes it glimmers through their best work. Ironically, the very beyondness of the idea is often the touch of presence that can render the work luminous. The beauty of the ideal awakens a passion and urgency that brings out the best in the person and calls forth the dream of excellence. The beauty of the true ideal in its hospitality is its hospitality towards woundedness, weakness, failure, and fallback. Yet so many people are infected with the virus of perfection. They cannot rest. They allow themselves no ease until they come close to the cleansed domain of perfection. This false notion of perfection does damage and puts their lives under a great strain. It is a wonderful day in a life when one is finally able to stand before the long, deep mirror of one's own reflection and view oneself with appreciation, acceptance, and forgiveness. On that day, one breaks through the falsity of images. We break through any expectations which have blinded us to our spirit. One can only learn to see who one is when one learns to view oneself with the most intimate and forgiving compassion. Such a glimpse of one's essence can utterly rejuvenate a life and enable one to find the hidden wisdom in the beauty of the flaw. What this speaks to is that our interactions with others, because it becomes clear we're not there. We're barely there. And especially we become aware of this. We become deeply aware of this in times of trouble. When we're racked by emotional torment, we still continue to function because this very facade, this mask, this burying ourselves, our vulnerability, it enables us to endure. It enables us to overcome troubles. So it's a wonderful grace at some points in times to be able to shield ourselves and cover ourselves from the world. But it's impossible to maintain an open, tranquil, authentic life when we allow that to become the pattern of our lives, where people can't reach in and find us. We've done so well at burying who we are and what we're up to and what we really want. And the teachers are committed that you have real life, juicy life, the joy in life, by appreciating who you are, especially in your strangeness, especially in your unique contribution to the world. Not by compromising yourself. And there's nothing to fix. But there's redemption and joy in full self-expression. Freedom. Emergence of this true self. Emergence never happens all at once. It is a slow stepping into the expanded capacity of our next self. We may need to practice at releasing in these places we've grown accustomed to bracing, which, like a tight swaddle, it's comforting in its limits. But now is the time. Now's the time where we have the hidden come to a natural end. We begin to inhabit our new dimensionality. We begin to breathe into the fullness of gaining altitude in our life and consider that what presents itself as fear may actually be exhilaration. As your future approaches, you worry less how it may receive you. And now, say a prayer instead for your becoming approachable. Melissa Flamby. Well, let's look at the specifics of this. When we were talking about this last week, we went into a share about discovering who we were when we were little. When we were 4, 5, or 6, there were things we dreamed of being. And in fact, maybe now at Halloween, and maybe as we were growing up into adults, we actually took on the costume of who that was, what that was. A pilot, a nurse, Superman. We took that on. And we took that on because we, at that point in time in our lives, were free to be. We were free to be. I like this. I want this. This excites me. And the experience of the world wasn't hindered yet. But somewhere along the line, those dreams and those hopes, those wannabes in us, did get, I'll say, hindered, but definitely restrained. I'll share my personal story. At least one of them was when I was only 4.5. I had a visitation from an angel. I was tiptoeing into my parents' bedroom because on Saturday mornings, if I wanted Dad up early to take me out, I would go in and just lift the cover at the end of the bed, completely opposite from the side of my mother was sleeping on. And if I pulled on his big toe, he would jump out of bed, get me breakfast, and we would go out. But on this morning, and it was a spring morning, I went in. And as soon as I knelt beside the bed, this angel appeared, bigger than half the house that my parents were living in. Golden, just golden. And what I was struck by were the wings of this immense being who was advising me, who was actually sharing with me that my dad would soon be leaving. And I was not to be worried about him, that I would see him again, that he would be very happy. They knew we were close and they wanted me to know. And I took that in as a communication or even a prayer. I never said anything. I never said to my dad anything about that. I was just so struck in awe by the miracle of it that I thought, this is between me and the angel. But what I wanted, if you would have asked me, who do I want to be at 4.5, I said I wanted to have wings. I wanted to have wings because I could show up wherever I needed to go if I had wings. And a few years later, I actually said that to my mom. And I was hoping that in sharing the story, because then, of course, I was 6 and what did I know? But I wanted to share it with my mom. And she turned and looked at me and said, "You're insane. You're insane." This is after, of course, my dad had passed, and she was really worried that there would be some psychological problems. So what I decided at that point in time had nothing to do with wings, had something to do with that, I must be sane. I must be sane. I must appear to be sane. If I'm sane, they'll let me alone. The aliveness that cost me from that decision, from that one short conversation, but stemmed from, seeded from this marvelous miracle that was in my life. I mean, can you just hear the shackles just clamp me down as a 6-year-old? I would go into class at that point in time. There would be questions I'd be afraid to ask. When people would ask me, well, what did I want to study or what did I like? I'd have to reflect a little bit and actually look outside of me, not about what I wanted or what I was actually reading or the most favorite movie I had. I had to actually look at what would look sane. And living a life with that on me had me be very conservative about things, but especially about my gifts. So I haven't been fully expressed in who I am as a medium or a teacher until the past 8 years, when I gave it all up. And it took something. It took something to take on my future, to out myself. Trained as a lawyer, trained as a teacher, a journalist, to come out and say, I'm a channeling medium, and I'm committed to spiritual counseling and teaching, healing, and supporting people in transitioning in this life. I don't think I could have gotten that sentence out up before 6-7 years ago. I would like you to look, folks, at where you've condemned your aliveness still. And I don't care if you're 40 or 50 or 80. Where have you condemned your aliveness? Where have your thoughts been imprisoned? By one small experience like that. And take a look at that now. And be visited by your ancestors. The veil is thin now. You know, we're moving into Samhain. Halloween will be next Saturday. And the whole opportunity of when the veil is thin is the opportunity for you to be more sensitive to impressions from the other side. And for those on the other side who may not be quite used to doing this yet, be in touch with you. And it could be through dreams, and it could be through some aha moments, and it could be through synchronicity of favorite songs and favorite movies that show up. But it's there. The possibility is there. But the teachers want you to deeply review your life at this point in time to create what you really, really, really want, who you really, really want to be. Create it. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. Create it. And look to your heart. As we said, spiritual development is moving from those places of where you are being aware. The root, the sacral, the solar plexus. I'm safe. I'm here. You're there. I know my name. I know I can make things happen. But moving that now, moving awareness up into a level of mastery, of being in conversations with people and being yourself. Being yourself. If something's said you don't care for, you don't like, you say so. If someone's there that you love or you have affection for, you say so. Or if there are things that you know now when you look you should be forgiven for, you request the forgiveness. Be real. It's time to be real. In this time right now of struggle, this time of a lot of political enmity, being real is really important. And be real in joy. The teachers are asking you to bring joy. But how are you to see into a virtuous soul and know its loveliness? Withdraw into yourself and look. And if you do not find yourself beautiful yet, act as does the creator of a statue that is to be made beautiful. He cuts away here. He cuts away there. He smooths there. He makes this line lighter, this other purer, until a lovely face is grown upon his work. So do you also then, and so you can also then, cut away all that is excessive. Straighten all that is crooked. Bring light to all that is overcast. Labor to make all of it one glow of beauty. And never cease chiseling your statue. We're going to stop here for a song from Ronnie and come back with a closing few words.
Hello everyone. This song is called We Will Find a Way by Brenda Ross. Sun follows rain, strength follows pain, and I know we
Ronnie? We will find a way. Before I started today, I pulled some cards from my oracles, my empathic oracle deck. And the 3 cards they gave us today were pedestal, clearing, and shielding. Inside those words, you can actually see there's some balance. There's some balance. Pedestal. In pedestal, the oracle was saying we need to bring down from pedestal these belief systems, these standards, these ways of living our lives that no longer serve us, that likely never did serve us. But we have to take them off the pedestal one by one and closely look and examine again. Sometimes why it was there is really important to understand, but for the most part of it, consider it. That's all. Consider it from the place of power that you chose it and you can unchose it. And if it works, it fulfills, it expands you, put it back on the pedestal. And the next word is clearing. Because as you see some of these thoughts and you see some of these opinions and these ways of being and these choices that you made and these patterns that you have and these habits that run you, there's a job to do here. There's some things to clear. There's some things to clear. And begin to look from your heart. Begin to look at your wounds. Because most, if not all, most of these ways of being, most of these habits and toxic patterns, you created when you were very young to protect you. To protect you. Salve for the wound. And now let's get closer to the wound. And with tender love and care, let's begin to heal them. Let's begin to tell the truth about them. Let's reduce the pain and the reaction. Let's not have our life be lived from fear of discovery, but by love. Love of ourselves, the commitment to our full self-expression, the gift of that beauty to the world and the difference it would make. And then in shielding. Yes, in shielding, there are those times when we got to get out and get the job done. And there is pain, and there is a process, and there is a protocol of keeping to yourself in silence and in prayer those tender moments while you heal. While you heal. But be clear about them. Be honest with yourself about them. And resolve them. Come to grace. Come to God. What the Cochin Bible said in the chapter called Wisdom. The Cochin Bible says, when a conscious awakened spirit occupies a material body in conscious unity, the whole being is united with the divine. It expands out beyond the limitations of space and time. Mindfulness controls the thoughts and feelings and clears an inner place. Mindfulness controls the thoughts and feelings and clears an inner place. Make sacred that inner place. To discover, uncover, unconceal it, to keep it open. It's important that you return to it daily. And yes, you know where we're going. Meditation. That time for you to be present to receive divine grace. that scheduled, private, sacred time to be with the divine. Don't do any less for yourself. Don't do any less for yourself. That's where you have access to mindfulness. That's where you can begin or end your day with an intention. An intention. I will make this day matter. I will matter to each person I come in contact today. I'll be seen. I'll be heard. I will listen for the voices of the others. I will help uplift and raise up those whose voices are quieter, who need gentle assistance. And when I take myself to bed that night, I can actually lay down saying, thank you, God, for the day. Thank you for the growth. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate where my life is going, and I shall move forward. So I wish you grace. I wish you love. I wish you fun this week. If you can somehow celebrate the holiday of Halloween, I request donations for the benefit of the Sacred Journey of Life, Spiritual Center and Healing Order, to Sacred Journey of Life 2020 at paypal.com. I request that you go up and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, which will, as we approach 100 or more, give us a lot more efficiency, functionality. I request you take on the opportunity of the one-day retreats with me, if you're local, that are still being scheduled through November and December. Just have fun, guys. Just have fun. And, game day, game day, game day. So thank you. Thank you for the honor you offer me by spending time here on Sundays. Thank you. Namaste. Peace. And I love you.